What if I told you you could spend less time in prep for your campaign and be more ready for the curveballs your players are going to throw you? It's not as hard as you might think, and we're starting right now. If this is your first visit and you want tips and tricks to make your role-playing games a little bit more awesome, start now by subscribing and hitting the bell so you can stay in the know. If you've ever spent a bunch of time preparing your campaign where your players did something unexpected, and as a result, you didn't get to take advantage of your prep, this video is for you. In the last episode, we discussed prep and how it can be made more awesome by not writing the details in stone, by predicting your players' actions, by making your encounters float so that you can use more of your work, and by building a toolbox full of awesome. This is the second part of this multi-part discussion, and today we're going to talk about preparing encounters and campaigns in both theory and practice. We'll discuss how to build encounters setting and/or actor agnostic, and how you might string them all together in interesting ways to move your campaign forward. And because so many folks asked so nicely, we will build up a smallish example that you can reskin and drop into your own games free of charge. And now, let's begin.
What's my motivation?
Last time we talked about how important it is to motivate each encounter, and it hasn't changed since then. If the players don't know why they're doing a thing, they're a lot less likely to be engaged. Heck, they may not even show up at all. They might lollygag in town as the bandits raze the village they were paid to defend, or they might do a shoddy job killing the evil bad mage at the top of Danger Tower, putting the entire town at risk. And you don't want that, do you? Motivation comes from three significant places. It challenges the player character's beliefs. It endangers one or more of their interests, either material or personal, or it presents a mystery that they can't help but pursue. Assuming I haven't missed something, these are the major ones, and while there are others, they're often less compelling, like boredom, and not things you can count on. And if all else fails, ask your players to meet you halfway. The game doesn't really go anywhere if we don't take the first step. We've talked a lot about building your plot hooks from your player character's beliefs, but a couple more examples wouldn't hurt. If a character believes they're an altruistic hero, that's a gimme. Motivate the arc as saving the town from the bandits or the dragon from the fire-breathing princess. If a character believes that all orcs are evil, confront them with an idealistic and law-abiding orc and see what happens. Maybe they feel that law is the highest ideal, in which case we really want to show them the violence inherent in the system. In each of these cases, you're trying to find out how closely they hold these beliefs, and you want to challenge them at every opportunity. You can then weave those elements into your hooks for fun and awesome. For our example, we'll assume we've got a typical heroic party motivated by stopping a terrible threat, and we'll entice them with the mystery of gnolls using magic, which isn't at all normal.
It all comes tumbling down.
Once an encounter is over, you need to figure out how the world has changed. Depending on the encounter, it might be really obvious, like now we know more about these gnolls, or the bandits are dead, rejoice. But what'll really sell it is showing how this affects the world over time. Now that the bandits have been defeated, trade can flourish between villages on the countryside. Show them increased prosperity, and even better, have the villagers treat them like the heroes they hopefully are. Players love being praised by characters in the world, and if they're not in the area, all is not lost. Send them a letter from someone they know in the village. You know, their favorite NPC? Let's get some props up in here. Occasionally, you'll hit a situation where it doesn't end the way you thought it would. No problem. Look for the most plausible outcome, just like you would in prep, and don't be afraid to have it unfold slowly so you can think it through after the session. If your players are like mine, they will scarcely be able to avoid talking about what they think the consequences will be. In this case, take really good notes and weave that into your narrative. For our example, the ultimate consequence is the utter destruction of several villages near the forest, at the dirty paws of this particular band of gnolls. Those villages are doomed without a savior. If the player characters don't intercede, i.e. your hook doesn't set, fronts from Dungeon World are a great way to track the mayhem behind the scenes. But that's a different video.
Who was that masked NPC?
For this part, we're going to switch to our example as a way of explaining this in action. So let's establish some stuff about our marauding gnolls. They have been uncharacteristically aggressive and clever of late, and some eyewitnesses report that they've somehow gained mystical powers. A shady figure is sometimes seen with them, and many of them are carrying shiny charms. We know that these gnolls are led by a particularly angry one named Svitba, who's been imbued with control over fire, a really scary thing for a gnoll to have. These special gnolls are now terrifying the countryside. They are not regular gnolls. At whichever village the players arrive in, they will have questions to spring on unwitting villagers. We want to deliver 2 clues, specifically rumors about this band of gnolls as told by the villagers in town. Who delivers the information isn't that important, and it's very likely that the players will pick the first villager they find and pepper with questions. You could refer them to a named NPC that you prepared ahead of time, but for this example, we're not going to do that. We want most of our NPCs at this stage to be disposable. We can choose who to promote later if they stick. When the players start questioning, pick one of the facts, it doesn't matter which one, and deliver it in the character's words. This character only knows that one fact, but they can direct the PCs to someone who knows more. This is why you keep your list of names handy. When the player characters reach the next NPC, pick another random fact and give it to them. Now the player characters have all the clues from this village. Plant the seed that maybe they should ask elsewhere. When they follow the next lead, you pounce.
Where are we, anyway?
It does not matter which village the player characters go to next. They will find a group of gnolls threatening the area. This is their first opportunity to witness these non-regular gnolls firsthand, and your first opportunity to show them what makes them special. For this, I like having scatter terrain around to throw maps together, but you can just as easily draw things on a battle map or on a Roll20. You do not need to build maps for every place this might occur, unless you really like building maps or have a strong need for them later. We'll explore building battle maps in a future video. The other details aren't especially important, but here are some ideas. They're attacking a family taking their goods to market. They're attacking a militia patrol. They're at the edge of the forest looking into the road at some travelers. Make sure that the gnolls are picking an easy fight. They're playing to win. Where you start this encounter is in no way important. It just has to happen before the player characters reach the village, and we've built it such that you can place it wherever you need it. You do want to show off at least one mystical gnoll and show that they're unusually aggressive. You might also let the player characters find one of the charms on the gnolls and start wondering. And if you have heroic types in the party, preying on innocence is a really good way to get them riled up. If, on the other hand, your player characters are motivated by greed, it might be better if the unwitting traveler was a tax collector. Even gnolls hate taxes. What is important in this scenario is the actors, in this case the gnolls and whomever they're fighting. We know we'll be dealing with gnolls for a while, so breaking out stat blocks for them is obvious. Villagers, travelers, militia, and guards are also generically useful too, so we can reuse that as well. But let's make this even harder, shall we?
Who are they? Wait, where are we?
For our last trick, we are going to fast forward to a middle encounter, one where neither the actors nor the setting are important. This is a combat encounter, one where we want to further show off the power of these gnolls. We'll imagine 3 types of non-named gnolls increasing in danger and mystical power. By varying the count of each type of gnoll, we can adjust the fight's difficulty. This is especially useful if some of your players are out. Where you put the fight isn't all that important either, and because you can mix and match the bads to suit the situation, it's fairly actor agnostic too. But let's take it one step further, shall we? Why does Sutpao have this power? Maybe the shady cultist gave it to him as a diversion to hide some other mayhem going on nearby. Maybe the cultist is around to keep track of their creation and make sure it's all going well. Let's stick one of those guys in one of the last encounters and don't explain it yet. Telegraph the next arc if your players are getting into this one. By dropping hints now, we can set up for awesome later. Remember, every encounter should move the thing forward.
The whole deal.
Now we've got all the pieces, so let's put it all together. Let's imagine this as a short 6-ish encounter mini-arc. The hook is presented to the nearby city, that there's a band of mysterious gnolls threatening the villages near the forest. The players bite and start their questioning at the first village, deepening the mystery. They eventually run out of clues and move on to the next village. From there, we spring an encounter on them, hopefully picking the most dramatically appropriate thing. We want to show how these gnolls are special. We also want to show off some of their mystical powers to further deepen the mystery, and we want to let the player characters be heroes, since that's what they're biting on. Once complete, they will almost certainly ask questions in village number 2, where you can drop them a couple more clues. Maybe a shifty-looking cultist has been seen in this village. Let's telegraph the next mini-arc right here. You can also have the villagers beg for protection, especially if the PCs are leaving. Let's see what they do with that. Continue to listen when your players plan. If they go to another village to ask more questions, you could hit them with another encounter. If they try to fortify the current village, have the gnolls try to thwart them. Make it clear that they're acting intelligently. If they try to hunt the gnolls directly, have an even tougher encounter and telegraph that they're way more than expected, and they can't be dealt with head-on. Adjusting the campaign on the fly is something that most games can't do. Try to think of what the gnolls' reactions might be, because they should have eyes on the party now, and drop a clue about what's going on in each encounter to keep the arc moving. From there, act accordingly, repeating if necessary, and make sure that the gnolls respond in a sensible way to every observable player action. If the player characters win a fight, make the next encounter harder. If the players wait, increase the gnolls' coordination and territory. If they stealth past an encounter, show increased scouts and heightened awareness. If the PCs have parlayed with the gnolls, be extra special sure to react to that. And don't forget about the villagers. Let's get them some drama too. When it all heats up, present them with information about Sutpal's lair, and telegraph what might happen there. This is where you want to spend your complexity bucks. This is your signature piece for this mini-arc. Assume one encounter on the way in, however the player characters might solve it, and then one final encounter with the boss himself to save the villages near the forest. But building that encounter is a different video. This is how I set up most of my campaigns. What are your favorite tips for increasing awesome and decreasing prep time? We would love to read your ideas down in the comments below. This is part 2 of a multi-part discussion where we delve into making prep time a little bit more awesome. To catch the next installment, start by subscribing and hitting the bell so you can stay in the know. Thanks for staying classy, and I'll see you on Sunday.